What's going on, guys? Thank you for joining us. We are here for Torrevieja Talk. It is the 8th of the 9th. It is myself, Paul, the owner of FootballManagerCentral.com.
I'm myself, Paul, from the fellow Pena to the FMC, the Merseyside Socios of Torrevieja.
The two Pauls back again. As you will see on the background as well, we have a new layout for the show, so I hope you like it, with breaking news, latest scores, league table, and a big box for some images we want to show you through the show. So, let's get down to business, Paul, as people will see on the screen, and we still currently only have the 1 point.
Yeah, so it wasn't a great weekend. It wasn't a great result. We were away at Atletico Saguntino and we got beat 1-0.
What I will say is Saguntino have won 2 of the 3 so far.
Yeah, they have been doing, fairly well when they met us. It's not as if where are we? They are a side that is showing some decent early form. I think it's another one of those games where we're glad we got them out the way. They were done, but it's still the black and white. It's another defeat for Torry.
I think it's disappointing because obviously now that 1 point in the first 3 games, we're sitting in the relegation zone, which is not where we wanted to be. And I don't want to keep reverting back to it, but in pre-season we really did hope this was going to be a good year for Torrevieja. So I think there was the issue, as people were seeing the breaking news, there was a player sent off, Paul, during the game.
Yeah, Roman Carrasco was sent off after 60 minutes. It was a second booking. From the sounds of it, it was pretty contentious, the decision, and could have gone either way. Obviously, we feel a bit aggrieved, so, we don't know is the club going to appeal that or just, take the knock from it. So that's not a good one. We picked up another 5 yellow cards as well.
Oh. There seems to be especially considering in a previous show you actually spoke about the yellow cards picked up were coming in silly situations. So the fact we did pick up another 5 and a red today. This week. Yeah, so you can't deny that the commitment's there and the passion's there, but is that boiling over where it's a bit too much? We're going to be looking at a situation very soon that suspensions are going to be what kill us off. I think it's, especially if, as it is becoming apparent now, and we don't want to start throwing on them after 3 games, but we've fallen behind. You need to start clawing back. We need consecutive victories. We need 3 or 4 victories on the bounce if we can. And suspensions and key players missing a game due to picking up so many yellow cards is not what we want to see.
No, not at all. I mean, morale is definitely going to start to become an issue if when things don't turn around soon enough. But I mean, we've got to look at the other side. We've got to look at the positives and stuff like this. So coming into the game, Pirgenio made 5 changes. That's quite a hefty, revolution almost. He brought back Eddie and Simic in defence to make it a bit more solid. Branny and Lewis got the first starts of the season. Carrasco came in where he was on the bench. And surprisingly enough, Luis Carlos, the guy we were heralding in pre-season, who started, started last week, was completely absent again, wasn't even named on the bench.
That's interesting. And I do think the 5 changes it's a large amount. Do you think that's affected the team, or do you think it was needed?
I think it was needed. There was a few complaints about pace in defence. After the first couple of games that we were getting caught on the break, and certainly with, one-on-ones down the wings and things like that. And although Eddie at left back isn't the most, isn't the fastest player, he's certainly got the experience and he's certainly got that level head. And I think that's why they brought Simic in the centre of defence alongside Quintero, and he has got bags of pace. So, that cut down the chances of anyone, long ball over and sprinting back and beating the offside trap as such.
Yeah, I think Eddie's definitely he's a good player on Football Manager.
Yeah, definitely.
It's frustrating to look back, and the fact we were down to 10 men, that's not going to help the situation. 1-0 down, going in the last 5-10 minutes, you want to be able to push for the victory, not be backs against the wall.
Yeah, it was, so it obviously was almost like a second kick in the teeth, in the second half for the guys. And then, they were pushing, they were trying to get something. But when you're a man down and pretty much all game, I think Saguntino were beating us in the air most of it. Every time we had the ball and we started getting it forward, there were straight away 2 or 3 men up against us. So, we weren't given much space to play around, and obviously with one less man on the pitch, it was even harder.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to just spend this whole episode Torrevieja Talk sounding depressed, but we also want to stay realistic for our listeners, and the situation is not impressive at the minute. We as fans of the club are not impressed, so we need to obviously look at why we've lost 2 of the first 3, picked up 1 point in the first 3. We need to look why that's happened. We need to discuss as we have the changes affected it? The 5 changes in the last game, did that affect it? We need to look to see, is there an issue with the playing style? Now, to do that, we would have loved highlights tonight, Paul, wouldn't we?
We certainly would have done.
But unfortunately, there's been an issue with the company we were hoping to get a lot of highlights from each week. It seems reported in pre-season that this would happen. It appears not to have happened much, which has affected the idea of highlights packages, Paul, which it also affects us being able to keep up to date visually with the game.
Yeah, so I mean, we were expecting game highlights to show you from all the games that were being played each week, but it seems like the company can only do one game at a time. The unfortunate this week is there seems to be a complete lack of photos as well. Decent action shots. I wonder whether the other events that have been going on with Torrevieja, with the weather over the weekend, whether everyone's been tied down with that, should we say?
I think hopefully, and we will be speaking with Torrevieja as supporters groups of the club. We will be speaking, and we can guarantee you that in the next week we will be contacting the club. Myself personally, and Paul no doubt will join me in this to request from next week that we do have images of the games to give the fans of the club around the world.
Yeah, definitely, because that's what we want to see. We want to show you guys, and that's what we want to see of Torrevieja. So hopefully, that they can get the guys who normally do it, and the guys at Objetivo Torrevieja are normally provide us with the photos. They haven't been able to this week as well. So we'll keep speaking to all the media outlets as well in the local area to try and push them to make sure that there's an audience here that that does want to see the Torry action.
Definitely. We'll maybe even get the manager stood there with his little camera. Hey, just do us a favour, take a couple of pictures.
He can FaceTime us from the game and film the...
There we go, perfect. FaceTime from the manager, that would be a dream.
Definitely.
But you were talking about the events of the weekend, the weather. So I'm just going to put on the screen now for people. If you just turn to the big box, you will see that we have 2 images going on a slideshow of some bad weather, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, these images are actually from this evening, so they are completely up to date. Torrevieja, the last few days has been hit by almost like freak tropical rainstorms. I mean, there's been videos knocking about social media with cars literally getting washed down the street. Then there was one where half of the beach in one section was washed away. The volume of water that's been dropping out the sky the last couple of days has been phenomenal, and nothing that has ever been seen in that area. So obviously the drains and everything, not like they're used to in more northern European countries to get rid of. And let's just hope that this as you can see from the images, all this waterlogged or whatever will be able to clear and dry off before our next home game.
Well, I mean, luckily, obviously, this weather's come as a big shock, but luckily for Torrevieja's, 99% of the year they have beautiful sunshine, so hopefully it can a bit of heat on that will dry it up. But it's definitely they've got a lake going there. I'm waiting for some fish to come jumping out. But I just want to say thank you to at CD Torrevieja on the Twitter account. They are where I post these images from, which I'm sure they won't mind. But Paul, we're now going to move on, and we're just going to have a little talk about the rest of the action from the weekend.
Yeah, so we'll go through the results from the games. The first one that came up was Rayo Events A2, Benigni 1. Rayo came up this season, got the maiden win, but it wasn't easy. Now, these are the guys that in the last 2 games conceded last-minute goals to deny them at least draws. So it's been very frustrating, so it was good for them to get the first win. Villarreal C, 0, Muro 0. Now we play these guys next week, the Villarreal C side, quite a youth side, and we play them next Wednesday. It is
next Wednesday.
Yeah. Villarreal should have got the 3 points there, but it was down to the Muro keeper Franco that kept it a draw. Recambias Colón 1, Bunol 0. The first game of the season to feature two of the new sides against each other, and Recambias pretty much had the game in control. They had a second goal ruled out as well.
Bunol struggling.
Yes, yeah. So that's 3 defeats with just 1 scored. So not a great start to those guys. Next up, Ontinyent 2, Elche Lusitano 0.
He's in perfect sync, by the way, people, with the scores at the bottom. Oh, you've lost it.
So that was another, crushing victory for Ontinyent, who have now got, 3 straight wins. They've scored 9. They've got 2 clean sheets. They are just knocking everyone out of the way. So they are having a bit of a rampant start to the season. We've got Borriol 0, Orihuela 2. They were always going to be up against it, Borriol, because they had 6 guys injured. Ouch. And obviously their keeper was sent off against us last week, so he was suspended.
Indeed.
Yeah, but to be fair to them, they did have the most chances. And unfortunately, they got another 2 guys sent off in that game. So down to 9 men, obviously a lot of players tired. And then Orihuela, grabbed 2 second-half goals and took the points home. Then we've got Jove Espanyol 0, Torre Levante 2. And it was Torre old boy Noah Pamaros, which a few guys will remember from our FM squad last season. He made his debut. He just signed for Jove. But obviously, him starting couldn't stop their suffering to the 3rd straight loss.
That'll teach him not to play for us.
Exactly. And it was a penalty. It was the first goal for Torre and then they got a second to ensure a perfect start. And there's another side with 3 wins from 3. Crevalente Deportivo 0, Paterna 1. Crevalente really should have had something and they should have won. But it was they've had a couple of clear penalty options that. Decisions that weren't given, and then it was a 91st minute goal from Paterna that it was pretty much one of their only attacks in the whole game, and with that they took the 3 points. But one of the things is Paterna, that's now their 3rd clean sheet. That's definitely one to watch out for, certainly with their keeper in defence. Up next was CD Acero 1, Castellón 1. Now this was last season's champions, Castellón. They both suffered defeats in midweek in Red Cup games. And it was a penalty converted by Serral, who actually got dismissed later on in the game, that put the underdogs 1-0 up the home side. And then obviously the Castellón grabbed an equaliser late on to show that, why they won the title last year and, could be up there this year. And then last one is our opponents this weekend, Alfira 4, Novelda 3.
What a game.
Yeah, so it was 1-0 up after about, I think, 10-20 minutes. And then the final 6 goals all came in the last half hour. I think the referee added about 4 minutes of injury time on, and if he'd have had about 20, he would have had another 6 or 7 goals, the way the action was going. And it was David Grande, got a hat-trick for Alfira. So that's another one that we need to watch out for next week.
Definitely. What I will say is, just quickly, we have there's 2 games coming up, Paul, in quick succession.
We have. It's almost like a double game week this week. So on Sunday we've got Althea at home. These guys, they've scored 12 in the last 3 games. They've got 3 players. Sorry, there's 3 players in the whole of our league who've scored 3 goals. 2 of them play for these guys, and they both got hat-tricks in separate games. But the good thing for us, the positive. Now, if you look back at our results, first game we conceded 3 against Ontinyent. Second game we conceded 2 against Borriol. And then last week we conceded 1. You never know, this could be a clean sheet for us. But
so you're calling it?
I'm calling it, but these guys haven't got a clean sheet and they've conceded 7 goals in their 3 games.
Ouch.
So they're putting the goals in, but they're going in the other end as well. So I think we could be in for a good shout this weekend. This could be the turn in our season that we're looking at. And then straight after on... Oh, sorry, go on, Paul.
No, go on, you're right.
No, I was going to say, and then straight after, it's another full league programme on the Wednesday night, and we're away at Villarreal C team. So they've got a win and 2 draws. Relatively young squad, but these guys all were taken from Villarreal's double winning youth side last season. So, they are going to be a tough side for us.
Definitely a team to watch. You never know, some of them guys could move up to the main team of Villarreal at a point.
Definitely.
So, as Paul's mentioned there's 2 games, one on Sunday, one on Wednesday. That means Torrevieja Talk will be recorded on Wednesday night after the Villarreal game, and we want to try to bring you it, so there'll be 5 games played by then. As you will see on the screen, Torrevieja is sitting in 18th place, Paul, with 1 point. We want to see Torrevieja sitting at least 11th, I would say. I want to see at least 3 points from these 2 games, possibly hopefully. 4. Hopefully, a dream would be 6, but definitely. I think 3 points from these 2 games is a must.
Yeah, I mean we've got to turn this. We've got to turn the boat round, should we say, and start putting some more points on the board. But we've got to look at the other side. It's still early days, isn't it? We've only had 3 games. We've still got another 35 to play. If we win our last 35, then we should be champions. So
exactly.
There's always that to think about.
Well, I think after your boat pun there, let's just throw in. Let's not put the anchor down in the relegation zone.
Oh, exactly.
Oh, on fire.
Let's sail this ship out of that area.
Wow.
To calmer seas.
It's getting worse, isn't it?
It is. Maybe we should relate the pitch with the waterlogged pitch as well.
Maybe. But that's it for tonight's show, Paul.
Yeah.
So I think what we'll do is we'll remind people that we're back on Wednesday night, not Tuesday night. And we want to remind people to check out clubdeportivo.com, at CD Torrevieja, at FM Central, and your account, Paul?
Is at Mersey Socios.
There we go. Check everything out, and remember, join us next week.